In this video, we're going to talk about the two biggest mistakes that I see people make all the time when it comes to buying insurance. And we're also going to talk at the end about how to avoid those two mistakes, so stick around. What is going on? My name is Mike and welcome to another video. If this is your first time here and you want the best financial education from someone who actually does this stuff for a living, start now by subscribing and clicking on the bell to make sure you don't miss out on anything. Mistake number one. Buying insurance that you're never going to use. An excellent example of this is accidental death and dismemberment. The number of conditions that have to be met for a policy to pay out on accidental death and dismemberment claims is incredibly small. And as a result, it's a cash cow for the industry. So they're actually hoping that you pay for the extra benefit if you have to pay out of pocket. Some employers offer it as a benefit that comes free to you, and if that's the case, go ahead and take it. But ordinarily you have to pay for it, and it's just a cash cow for the industry. And if you think about it, accidental death and dismemberment is kind of a bizarre form of insurance anyway. For instance, if you lose one arm, you get a 50% payout, but if you lose another arm, then you get 100%. Or if you lose one eye, on and on and on. So the conditions that it actually requires to pay out may never end up happening. So again, if it is a free benefit, go ahead and take it, but if you have to pay for it out of pocket, you may just consider letting that go. Now, we're picking on accidental death and dismemberment here, but that doesn't mean that that's the only kind of insurance that's a complete waste of money. There are plenty of policies out there that are going to insure things that are so unlikely to happen that it's just a cash cow for that company. So what you would do instead is choose to self-insure that risk. Self-insuring a risk simply means that you're going to have an emergency reserve account that's available for any kind of an emergency that pops up. And in the event that one of those unlikely conditions comes up, you've got that pot of money available for whatever it is. Common mistake number two, and that is buying insurance that doesn't actually cover anything. I see this most frequently with auto insurance, where people are conditioned to buy the cheapest possible policy from all the advertisements that are blasted at them. But the problem is, to get the policy as cheap as possible, you end up stripping coverages that are actually pretty critical. And doing that to meet the legal limit, the minimum liability that is required by state law, ends up creating a policy that's almost useless. And so you end up wasting those premiums on the policy when you get into an accident and it doesn't cover what you think it covers. So I put the problem to folks this way. What would be more financially devastating to you, a $1,000 fender bender or $1 million lawsuit? Well, it's entirely possible that the $1,000 fender bender would be more financially devastating for you. And if that's the case, you have my blessing to go and call the British Lizard. But for most people, the more financially devastating effect would be to have a $1 million lawsuit. But you'd be amazed how many people strip out the liability coverage to the lowest possible amount. So how do you avoid making these very common, very bad mistakes? Well, the main way is by having an agent. If you call into a 1-800 number or you go online and get a quote, you are basically interacting with order takers. They are relying on you, the non-expert, to determine what coverages you want, and then they're going to price it accordingly. And if you are conditioned to shop on price, as we all are, then you're going to go for the cheapest possible policy, or end up with coverages that you don't actually need. And so if you are working with an agent, the agent is licensed to work on your behalf and make sure that the policy is in your best interest. So working with an agent, you may pay a little bit more because there's a real person that you can call and interact with, but you get such great value out of that interaction. Now, you've probably got some more questions than I was able to answer in this video, and that's fine. I've got more videos for you that will dive a little bit deeper, so stay tuned.